some activity on our right. Some pink-backed pelicans paddling about in the water and hanging out on the island in the center. They get their name because their backs, but also underneath their wings, around their eyes, and around those adorable little feet, all areas of their body that have a pink hue. Another animal that has kind of a pink hue on your left, some hippos hanging out in a river. Hippos are actually mostly nocturnal animals, so that means they're going to be a little more active at nighttime. So during the day, they just kind of hang out in the river where they have protection from the heat and the sun. And they can hold their breath for about 5 to 8 minutes at a time. So in case you don't see their heads at the surface right about now, that is why. But you will see that their ears, eyes, and nose, those are all located on the top side of their head. And that is a great adaptation since they spend a lot of time in the water. It means they don't have to go too far to, hear, see, or smell anything going on around them. Even though they spend the majority of their life in the water, they don't actually swim. They sink incredibly well. They weigh about 3,000 or 4,000 pounds, so they'll just sink all the way down to the river bottom. And we just crossed over into dangerous waters because those are Nile crocodiles on our left. These animals can grow to be about 16 feet in length, and they weigh about 500 pounds. Those powerful jaws will easily take down anything larger than them. That includes zebras, wildebeest. Basically, anything that gets too close to the riverbank is fair game. And yeah, I don't think that's the game any of us want to play today. So we're going to get here at Giraffe, pretty easy to spot, but also some ankole cattle just up ahead. There are multiple different species of giraffe. In fact, scientists have learned about different subspecies within the ones we already know about pretty recently. So if you guys want to learn even more about the animals we see out here, really my best recommendation for you is to go home and do a little research of your own on them, because I can almost guarantee you're going to learn fun facts about your favorite animal. But you might also learn maybe that animal faces some conservation struggle that we've learned about so far. The particular species of giraffe we're seeing on our right is called the Maasai giraffe. I also see a couple of African wild dogs on our left-hand side as well. They're also known as the painted dog, and while dog is in their name and they are very cute, they are not domesticated, so we don't interact with them like you would your dog at home. In fact, these guys here are some of the most successful hunters here in Africa. About 80 all the way up to 90% of the time they are successful, because they work together as a team to take down their prey, but they also have incredible stamina. Again, the cattle you're seeing with those very large horns, those are called ankole cattle. Another name you might know them by is the Watusi cattle. And actually passing right in front of us is a mom and a baby zebra. Sadly, baby zebras don't live little for long because they're born with their legs almost the length they're going to be as an adult. They can get up and moving really quickly after they're born. And this particular species of zebra, they're called Hartman's mountain zebras. They are characterized by those thick, broad stripes they have on their hindquarters. They also do not have any stripes on their belly. All the way to your left, something called a sable antelope, has that dark brown coat, very long, curved back horns. And another zebra there to your left, but just rolled around in some lovely mud, so a little bit harder to tell those stripes apart from one another. I know the horns on these ankole cattle, they might seem like they're really heavy, but thankfully there's not one solid piece. They're not hollow either, they're actually made of a honeycomb-like structure on the inside, so it keeps them a little more lightweight than one might expect. And on your left, these are called eland, and these are females. Females have tan coats, while males are kind of gray, and they have a very stocky and muscular build. Eland are some of the tallest of any antelope. They are about 6 feet tall just at their shoulder, not including those neck-headed horns that both the male and female have. And something to keep in mind while we're out here is a couple different size ranges as well. Usually newborn giraffe are about 6 feet tall, and fully grown adult giraffe range anywhere between 14 to 20 feet tall, depending on their age and their gender as well, because usually males are a little bit taller than females. Again, the giraffe we've seen so far is what they call the Maasai giraffe. They are characterized by their, what I like to call their messy or irregular shaped patches they have on their coat. Some of them look like maple leaf or ankle leaf. These boards already do not necessarily sound the best, so if you guys have any extra pixie dust, now is the time. Go ahead and sprinkle it on the truck right about now. Make sure we have those happy thoughts all the way across. If you're terrified of heights, just don't look down. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts, almost there. Alright. Hopefully we don't have to come across any other bridges like that, but just in case, maybe keep some of that pixie dust in your walk for me. But I I am glad we went this way because right now we are literally driving through lots of red clay. If you look to your right and left, there is evidence of elephants here. Those gouge marks along the red clay walls are made by elephants' tusks, and they will typically eat that red clay as a very tasty form of multivitamin. And a lot of soil throughout Africa is very vitamin and mineral rich. Sadly, there is one mineral in particular that does contribute to a lot of habitat loss for these animals. It's something called coltan. You might actually be holding a little bit of coltan in your hand, or it's in your bag. It's found in a lot of electronic devices, things like cell phones. Obviously, my goal here is not to make you feel bad for having a cell phone, guys. Just promise me that when it's time for you to get that shiny new device, you're going to recycle that old one. It's going to ensure they don't have to go out and mine for any new coltan. Looks like we did find an elephant there all the way to your left, hiding almost very well behind these very tall trees. And there is a very big size difference between male and female elephants. Males, also known as a bull African elephant, can weigh about 12,000 pounds, if not more. Females are a little smaller, they're about 8,000 pounds. Males they typically rock that solo life. Occasionally they'll hang out with small groups of other males called the bachelor group. But females are always hanging out together. Now we definitely found a herd of females because you guys see what I see just up ahead. Looks like there's a mom and a baby elephant here as well. I just barely see 2 tusks on either side of its trunk, so that tells me it's at least a couple of years old, which is a great sign. Baby elephants are a very rare find, A, because elephants have been in decline for many, many years, but also because female elephants have the longest known gestation period of any mammal. They're pregnant for 22 months. I know, all my mom's on board. That sounds absolutely magical, right? But it does take a long time to make a big, adorable baby like that. On the island in the center here, these are called greater flamingos, and you'll hopefully see some that look a little bit on the gray side, and they have kind of black legs still. Those are young flamingos that were born back in June and July right here on this reserve. And when they're born gray and really fluffy. They only start to develop that pink color on their feathers when they start to eat a primary diet of brine shrimp. Now, brine shrimp contain a very special ingredient called beta-carotene, which gives them that beautiful pink color. Animals weigh about 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, so they're even larger than that black rhino we spotted earlier. These animals here rhinos in general don't have the best vision, but they do have excellent hearing and smell. So if you actually pay attention to those ears of theirs, they can move them independently of one another. So one can be facing forward, one facing back. Gives you an idea of what they might be trying to listen to at that particular moment. So they can pretty much hear 360 degrees around them. Rhinos are mammals and they do have hair, but it's only on 3 areas of their body. It's on the ends of those ears that you see, on the tip of their tail. They also have some pretty fabulous eyelashes as well. But, you know, if you can see eyelashes on a rhino, that means you're probably a little too close to one. I see some cheetah activity here as well, actually standing right on the edge of the rocks. So doing a very good look there. Oh, gorgeous there. Boom. Now cheetahs, if you guys are getting a really good look at their face, and on their face is a great adaptation for them to hunt. It's a black streak that goes from the inner corner of their eye down to their mouth. Cheetahs are a little smaller than the other big cats found in Africa. Those big cats are going to hunt at night. So to avoid competition with them, they hunt during the day, and that black streak kind of acts similarly to how a football player will put 2 black streaks underneath their eyes to help reflect that sun. And that animal can reach a speed of 60 miles an hour within only 3 seconds. Now, keep in mind, 60 miles an hour is an average. They have been clocked even faster. And while that is incredibly fast in a very short amount of time, they can't run like that for long. It's typically just a few hundred yards. And I also see, looks like some sleeping lions on the copy there to your left-hand side. Now, also really close to us on our right, these are called Scimitar horned Oryx. They get their name from that Middle Eastern scimitar sword that those long curved horns resemble. And they're native to the northern desert regions of Africa. So it looks like 2 female lionesses. I do see a male lion. He's just on kind of the other side of the copy here, still on our left-hand side. But lots of sleeping going on, and that is a very common behavior to see in lions. They spend anywhere between 16 to 20 hours a day doing exactly what you're seeing right about now. But that's all to conserve energy for the hunt. These guys are typically nighttime hunters. Their day vision is very similar to yours and mine. However, that night vision, that's about 6 times greater. So since they have the advantage at night and it tends to be a little bit cooler, that is usually when they're going to be out hunting. And we saw those African wild dogs earlier that have that almost 90% success rate. All along the hillside, those holes are their burrows. They are the largest burrowing mammal, but they do believe in working smarter, not harder. They'll usually just kind of utilize or modify burrows made by other animals like aardvarks. And whenever they make a burrow, they typically back into it, so those razor sharp tusks are always pointed outward, just in case that original owner wants to come back and fight for their burrow back. Again, on your right, those Scimitar horned Oryx, beautiful animals. And also some ostrich just up ahead. These are female ostrich. You know that because they've got gray feathers. Males have black feathers and typically bright pink legs, especially around the mating season. And ostrich are the largest and the heaviest bird on Earth. So they can't fly. They do have wings, but they can't fly. They can run at a top speed of about 35 to 40 miles an hour with those very powerful legs. And they're going to use those wings as kind of like giant rudders on the sides of their body. It's going to help them change direction. So while they can't fly, they do have a
long-standing passion for conservation. He believed it was important that we protect our wildlife and preserve our natural world. This sense of motivation shaped his legacy, from animation to conservation, to the very adventures we offer here at Disney's Animal Kingdom each and every day. Wildlife we might encounter along the way, and the highly trained specialists who care for them. From ostriches and rhinos to the mighty African elephant, the species we care for here at Disney's Animal Kingdom are some of the very same animals that inspired animated classics like The Lion King, The Jungle Book, and more. And you know Bambi was the first animated feature to bring life.
They're pretty.
Hey, buddy. You look so good up there.
Meets the wild.
That was awesome.
People are going to have a one-of-a-kind experience that they'll never get ever again in their lifetime.
National Geographic Magic is an animal kingdom. Just like this. They eat, sleep, they're simple. Animals
Love it when I see it.
too as well. Thank you so much for wearing your facial coverings. We appreciate that too. While we're inside the building, continue, of course, throughout the park. So be sure we do keep those on over the top of the nose, under the chin, and everything in between too as well. And then last but not least, I would absolutely love to bring in an elephant for you. I think we're having a little trouble getting it through the door, and their skylight must not be working today either. So, have y'all been to the safaris? Y'all have seen some of the elephants over there? Good job. And if you haven't, maybe you get a chance to do that sometime today. It's definitely a really, really cool thing to do. But I have a special treat for you. If you look over here at our monitors, let's go ahead and take a look at our inspiration.
Meet Stella, an African elephant. When it comes to this little great firecracker, there was no fast pass to her arrival, just a lot of waiting. 2 years before Stella was Stella, she was a giraffe. I said giraffe, not giraffe. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, scientists were tracking her mother Donna's hormones very carefully to determine the right timing for pregnancy. The next question was a big one. 17,420 pounds to be exact. Would Donna and her suitor Mac get along? Keepers watched closely, as now it was all about the elephant's choice. What started as lingering looks from across the savannah blossomed into visits together. Scientists continued to monitor Donna carefully, and based on a new blip on the hormone graph, we could tell she was pregnant. Next, more waiting, with healthy eating and exercise for mom and ultrasounds for a sneak peek at baby. After nearly 2 years of waiting, Stella arrived after a quick 10-minute later. Boom, she hit the ground running and hasn't stopped since. Today, Stella spends lots of time with her sisters, which is just fine with mom, who appreciates time off from her high-energy daughter. Stella's arrival has really rounded out the family dynamic. Donna is now a seasoned mom of 3. The young females are practicing their nurturing skills, and Mac has come into his own as a confident bull with a soft side. Then there's Stella, who seems oblivious to the impact she has made, charging through life the center of attention, and that's just fine with us. She was definitely worth the wait.
Have those really cute, adorable cheeks that really push up against the eye there when you're smiling really big. Kind of cut through the bottom of the eye there. And we're gonna curve it up just a little bit above that second horizontal line. It kind of reminds me of an egg sitting on a spoon. Bottom of the eye, kind of cut through it and then come up. And just hit just a little bit above that second horizontal line. Just kind of really squish through those little cheeks because he's happy and smiling. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the bottom part of the cheeks because you get those dimples that really push at those cheeks too as well. So let's just go directly underneath the eye, just a little bit above the bottom of the either an oval there, underneath the horizontal oval. So we're going to make a J for Mrs. Jumbo. That's Dumbo's mom, right? And the word Jumbo actually got a meaning from an elephant by that name too, which is pretty. Marina to sneak up on you too, so you won't know an elephant's coming too, right? There could be one right behind me right now, but there's not. This is pretty cool. They're so quiet and they're so big. And then we're just gonna go ahead and trace over the bottom there. And then it's gonna pull it right back up on the right side, kind of flatten it up on the oval there. On the side, and then the same thing over here on this side. This one kind of flatten it down, hit that blue line, and come right back up again on the other side. It kind of looks like little suction cups too as well. And we'll draw in a couple of ovals on the side where you can sit down on the ground. So we kind of had a little bit of practice already with our eyes and these ovals that we did down here. And if it helps you, look at the end of that blue line right there on the right side. You can actually trace down it about halfway. So I'm gonna stop it right about there, between that and this foot, that way. And you got your momentum going right there. So you go 1, 2, 3, and you just roll that pencil around there, and it just kind of gets that energy flowing right there for the right side of his foot. So we're gonna do a little bit of squash and stretch, and yes, I like to toss in some animation terms for you. So animation principles, and you can learn a little bit more about those through a book called The Illusion of Life, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson. Those pictures in the middle are right over on the right side. The 2 pictures in the middle are Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson. And also check out their documentary on Disney Plus too as well. So while we're in that kind of transition, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the left side. If you want to kind of just start at this line, if it's easier for you, and trace down about halfway, you can do that. Or you can pick up off of that line. Just go ahead and roll that around. If you're doing smaller circles, you can certainly kind of just very lightly do the wrist. If you're doing bigger circles, you more likely you want to kind of use that shoulder. This makes it a lot easier for you to do. And try not to think too much about it because it turns out better for you that way. So we're going to turn these ovals into number 6. You should be very proud of what you just created, and then also date it, because this may be the first time that you've drawn a character, second time, who knows. So it is the 9th, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on the date. But it's really cool to go back over time and see the progress. So if it's your first time, maybe you come back the next time and you draw Dumbo, and you can see your improvement along the way, which I absolutely love. I've done that many times. And